Hello, and welcome to this Friday's mini workshop where I give you bite-sized content in a short amount of time, preferably about 20 minutes or so, where you can actually take action on the stuff that I give you. You can interact with me, and I recommend some resources that will help you move through the process quicker and makes it a lot easier for you. And I also share the stuff that's working in my own business with you, so you get live, up-to-date information about passive income with content, because that's the whole topic that we discuss and talk about in this group, right? So the topic for this week is to create content fast for results. It's kind of hard to name these because there's so many different ways that I could describe what I want to talk about. Another title was creating or making data sexy again, where my friend Amy actually came up with I don't even know how many pages this report is, but I think it's like over 100-page report on creating data for your content. And I'm going to share with you today how important data is and why, especially if you're just starting out, but not only if you're just starting out, how you can use this data to your advantage to sell your products and services more and sell them better. And can you all see me on GoTo? Yeah, I guess you can see me on GoToWebinar. Okay, just want making sure. So you can actually see something. There are actually no slides. There are never any slides for this because, thanks, Wim. Nice to see you. Okay, so how data can actually, help you sell your products and services, even if you yourself don't have any proof of maybe results that you're looking for or something like that. So Amy was we were talking earlier this week. She's like, yeah, data is not so sexy, but it's really, really important. And Amy is actually the best person to learn this from, because I remember I used to work with Amy when I pretty much just started online 7-8 years ago. And she would put together parts of our, whatever we were presenting, whatever content we were presenting. And she would have all these statistics and graphs and documentation and links to findings and things like that. And I was like, where are you getting all this information? Because that was kind of like her geeky, nerdy side coming in and adding that, credibility to our presentation. And this is stuff that she's been really focused on for a long time. And it's really important to put this kind of stuff in your data, so in your content. So what am I talking about here? What's data? Well, like charts and graphs and results and findings and outcomes and statistics, and I can go on and on and on, like results from social media findings, polls, timelines, historic events, educational data for like printables. So many things that you can use data for to prove concepts in your content, because your content needs to not just revolve around sometimes what we're creating, right? There has to be some kind of proof element behind whatever it is that we're saying. And it might not be proof for whatever we're saying, but it's proof from historic data or proof from what other studies that maybe universities ran, or experiments, things like that. And these are all types of things that you can incorporate in your content to make you more believable, okay? And yeah, sure, you can put this stuff inside of your content, like in the actual meat of it. But what's very, very effective is also using it in your sales process as well. So on your sales letters and on your presentation. So let's say you're doing like a speech, a live speech, or maybe a webinar. You want to incorporate this kind of data, these kind of findings, so it adds another layer of proof to whatever it is you're talking about, right? So it also kind of takes the pressure off of you and having to prove whatever it is you're trying to prove. And it says, here, this is the data. This is what XYZ University found, Harvard found, Yale found. And it puts so much credibility. So what Amy does is she lists a ton of sources of where you can get this data. So now it's not just like as simple as, sometimes it's not as simple as doing like a Google search to find data. I mean, you can, but you also want to find reputable sources to source your data, right? And that is what Amy shows in her easy content system, which just launched this week, and I'm promoting because really, really good stuff, really quality content, and content that you can use over and over again to, again, help you sell whatever it is you're selling, but also put it in the meat of your content to make you more believable. Another thing that you can do with this type of data and how you can get results is you can make charts and graphs and timelines and things like that to get traffic. So you can easily put whatever findings and send it off to Fiverr and have somebody make like a chart or timeline and even an infographic for you, which in turn are ways that you can, put your website, whatever it is you're selling, link that back to you. All right. So that's another way that you can use data to help you sell. And it's like, and when somebody's looking at a chart or some kind of image of this data where, you're proving a point, they can interpret that very easy. Like you just look at it. Oh, and here's the findings. For instance, she gives, let's see, where is it? I was reading through this report this morning. I think they said like there was some research where they said an 8-word headline gets like 21% more clicks and more reads. And these are studies that real companies, big companies, are testing and finding. So if you can grasp that data and get that data from reliable, relevant sources, that ups your credibility. And that's why you want to add that kind of stuff to your content and to your sales process as well. So remember, you're adding it to both places. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put that link. Hopefully I have it here handy. Sorry about that. There's a lot of moving parts to these workshops that I do every week. So here we go. I'll put it in GoToWebinar. Much more people are on GoToWebinar. Last week we did obviously our Facebook Live / GoToWebinar Live about webinars, right? And we have a really good GoToWebinar turnout, and my subscribers are liking the GoToWebinar, so we're going to stick with that. Let's see, we got some comments here. Connie says, who cares if it's sexy as long as it makes money? Exactly. But sometimes, you know, we can make things that are not sexy, right? By putting them into nice images and prettying them up and making them more interactive, right? Yeah, I mean, when it says, can you use this without risky copyright restrictions? I was thinking of graphs and charts. Now, yeah, you have to be careful. You can't always use the images, right? Or in that case, you might have to obviously source the data that you're pulling it from. But what I'm also saying is that if there's data in text, in the text format, you can actually be the one that creates that image ultimately, and then that's yours, right? But if you look at some of the infographics out there that do this, you'll find at the very, very bottom, they source their data. So that's what you want to do, right? So you can't always use as is, you know, other people's charts, or if it's okay, you might want to reach out to them and say, hey, can I use this? And I'll link back to your website, wherever it is. Is there a place where you could see the past webinar recordings? That's a great question. They're all in the Facebook group, okay? So you might want to join you should join the Facebook group. I'll put a link in there as well. So, and they're all being posted on my blog at debbiedrum.com. Okay, and all the transcriptions are there as well. So that's the whole system that I was talking about. I'm not sure if it was last week or yeah, it was the week before, where I was talking about creating systems for automation. They're also on my YouTube channel as well, and that's a great place where you can go and subscribe as well. All right, so that was the one from last week right there. So we had a question on Facebook. William says, given the masses of Google and the internet, how do you recommend vetting information sources? Well, that's the thing. Amy has kind of already has done this for us, and that's, you know, that's in that product that she launched this week. But yeah, how do you vet something? You really have to, if it's something that if it's like a source that you've never heard of, obviously you want to do some fact checking and do your due diligence there to make sure that you're not giving off, you know, bad information. Obviously, if it's from like the Harvard Review or, you know, some kind of known maybe marketing source or something like that, then there's more reliability behind that data. Absolutely. And then you can obviously cross-reference too. So for instance, if I was doing, which I do, as you know, I have Book Review Targeter, and I do some fact finding on, you know, the importance of having reviews and social proof for your products and your books. I want to say, you know, this, I might list like 5 or 6 sources, and that alone, when you're seeing, you know, one source, maybe less reputable, but 5 or 6 sources on one slide, that makes it more powerful when you give like a chunky, healthy list of your sources and quotes, things like that, from either reliable, you know, people of that niche or that topic, or reliable sources like companies and universities and things like that. So that's what you want to kind of start thinking of. You don't have to go overboard with this, mind you, but you really should have. And one of the tips, so I put the link in for Easy Content System and GoToWebinar. You'll see that in the chat. Let me pop that in the discussion on Facebook by reloading this. Some people are asking for it. There we go. I don't want to play myself right now. Sorry, it just started playing. I don't want to do that. All right, there we go. So that's for that. And let me post Amy's link in here. So we have a couple minutes left here. What I also want to leave you with too. So let's say you're trying to sell a product, or you're trying to sell something, right? And you know that there are results out there. You know that people have gotten results from whatever it is you're talking about. And you have not gotten the results yourself yet. So what do? Well, you can show screenshot proofs of other people succeeding with what you are talking about. So let me give an example. So we talk a lot about printables. Printables are huge, and also printables with data. So data that you can get from like public domain and all these resources that that Amy talks about inside the report, but whatever it is that you find, whatever, or the research that you do, however way you want to do it, get that data. You can make these in the form of printables and sell them, right? So printables are something like one sheet content that you can sell on different marketplaces, like your online, your own shopping cart online, Amazon, Etsy, different places like that. And you can just plug and play this data right in and go ahead and turn around and sell it. So that's a big market right now. But let's say so you want to sell printables, but you're just getting started and you haven't really sold many printables yet. Well, you can show screenshots of other people's results on how well they're doing selling these one-page, content printables. So look at this. You could say, look at this on Amazon, this listing. It gets X amount of, its sales rank is X, and that means that they're making 20 sales a day based on what their sales rank says, right? So that's not your results, but you're showing that the results are out there and that this process that you're talking about actually works. Okay, so we're talking about data. We're also talking about social proof, and all this kind of goes together. Okay, so to leave you with something that's very important is that you don't have to have it all on your shoulders. It doesn't only have to be you telling. It could be your customers telling. The social proof always helps to sell things, but also the data and other people's findings, the other credible information out there that also helps you sell your products and services, and is also helpful for you to put in your content for more proof and for that reliability, and just to make your stuff more interesting. You want to incorporate a chart every now and again in your content, because that's just what you do with content, and it helps it make it much more powerful. Okay, so hopefully we got a lot out of this today. Again, data is not that exciting, but it's something that you should be incorporating in your content, in your sales process, and getting used to researching and doing this kind of stuff to incorporate it into your content. Okay.